My project focused on increasing fluency for my students, so I chose the 6-minute solution to try to help them increase their fluency. I have a class of third graders. The majority of my third graders are reading between a low first and a low second grade level. Um, because they're reading so low, they have a problem passing one of the assessments that we have to take. Our district requires us to give Ames Web, which is a math test, and 2 fluency tests. One is called RCBM and the other is called Maze. This is the RCBM passage. This is what the student would see minus the numbers on the side. I see the same thing on a computer screen. When told to go, a clock starts, the student reads. Words that are read incorrectly are clicked on the computer. The computer automatically tabulates how many words they read. When the clock stops, you click on the last word that was read, and the computer tells you how many words they read in a minute. When my students would read, they would skip words, they would mispronounce words, they would go back, they would lose their place. So it was not only frustrating for me, it was frustrating for them, and their scores were basically in the toilet. This is a maze assessment. So the first sentence is given, and then you count 7 words, and 3 words are put in, and the student has to choose the correct word. So that's how the whole passage runs through. So the student has to choose the word to make the sentence fluent. Because they can't read a lot of the words, or because they lose their place, they end up just circling a word and moving forward, and then the piece never makes sense. They never go back to reread it to see if it was done correctly. So the 6-minute solution is a rich passage that has anywhere from 92 to about 130 words, depending on the level. I used level 1.5 to level 2.0. The students read, and another person is logging while they read, almost just like the RCBM, only we're doing it manually. We're marking out the words that are incorrect, and then we put a line, we draw a line where they stop, and then we count the amount of words. And then at the beginning, it's called a cold score, and at the end of the week, it's called a hot score, and there should be growth between how many words were read on Monday and how many words were read on Friday. So the student growth was calculated. If you look at student A, on week 1, they had a cold score of 66 and a hot score of 92. That was a 26-word increase. And if you look at the end, they had a cold score of 100 and a hot score of 110 with a change of 10 words. The difference between the two are the amount of errors that the students had. So in week 1, the errors were huge, and in week 4, they weren't. In week 1, the most common errors that I observed while the students worked were dropped and added endings like run did and walk did, skipped words, speed reading, and lost place while reading. Those are the 4 biggest, and they seem to be consistent across the board. By the 4th week, dropped and added endings, speed reading, and losing place while reading drastically went down, while the skipped words were the majority of the errors. And then I realized the skipped words were words they didn't know, because they're reading a 3rd grade passage on the RCBM. So they didn't know what the words were. So they didn't have a choice but to skip them. So when the RCBM scoring was done, we gave a baseline to all the students, so we had something to work with. My students scored baseline right where they have been scoring all year long. The probes, number 6, 21, 25, and 19, were randomly chosen for this survey. Each one was given at the end of the week after they had practiced using the 6-minute solution Monday through Friday. If you look at the numbers, the majority of the students are still falling far below. Some are approaching, but no one is at or near benchmark. Student G is one of the highest out of this group. That student is one of the best readers out of this group of students. So to sum it up, the 6-minute solution did not help increase RCBM scores or Maze scores for that matter. However, if this was used over a 1-year period from, say, August through April, I believe it could help increase student scores and could bring students that are approaching up to benchmark, or students that are consistently falling far below up to approaching, because of how the program works. In a 4-week period, it was definitely not enough time to see any type of growth. However, the students really liked the program, and on a daily basis, they would be reminding me at 10:50, it's time for fluency, it's time for fluency. All the students enjoyed doing it, and I used it on my whole class, not just these students. I used it on all of the students, so everyone liked using the program. At the end of the research study, I gave my students a survey. These were the most important questions that I felt that were in the survey. And of the 8 students, I like to read. All 8 of them really enjoy reading. But when I get to, I feel I'm a good reader, I had one student that didn't. Everybody else thought they did, that they were a good reader, but one was struggling with that concept. And I practiced reading at home, and I knew there's a lot of kids that didn't, and there was 2 for sure that they said sometimes, but I don't think they do. And the ones that said yes, I would say it's probably a 50% chance. I like the 6-minute solution. All of them enjoyed it, and the 6-minute solution is helping me be a better reader. All 8 of them felt that that was correct, that it was helping them be a better reader. So I was happy with the program. I guess I was looking for a magic bullet, and it didn't come in that form in helping me increase my Ames web scores. But as I said, I do believe that if it's used over the course of a year, especially with struggling readers, that it will make a difference and it will help. But as far as my research shows, in a 4-week period, it did not. Thank you for watching my video. I hope this was helpful. If anybody wants any more information from the 6-minute solution, you can email me at johnnyboy1131@gmail.com. If you have any questions or you want any more information, I would be happy to send it to you. Just let me know. Thanks for watching.